The YamatoWorks Pose Clip plugin is a specialized tool designed to make applying and managing poses a faster, simpler, and more versatile process. The only requirement is that items in which the poses refer to must have unique naming conventions in order to work in multi-character scenarios. Here's how it works. By pressing this button, we are presented with the Pose Clip interface, which is initially blank. Let's assume for the sake of example that our goal is to have a few hand poses. The Edit menu is where you will create, load, and manage poses. I want you to think of sets as selection sets. Before creating a new set, we need to select all of the items in the viewport that we want this set to refer to. Furthermore, these buttons down here denote which motion channels we would like for this set to affect, which are translation, rotation, scale, and morphs. Bones normally only rotate, so I'm really only interested in rotations here. Now, because I've selected all of the fingers on this character's left hand, upon creating the new set, I'm going to name it Fingers Left. When creating sets, understand that it is important that the character's hand is in its intended rest pose. I'll make some new poses for this Fingers Left set. The process is quite simple. Just move any of the set items as desired before creating them. I'll make 2 poses here. After doing this, notice that every pose contained within the Fingers Left set are now listed here. Whenever these sliders are manipulated, the plugin will gradually fade the influence of that pose relative to the rest rotation of the fingers. Now, there's no motion modifiers or constraints or otherwise making this happen, so you don't need to worry about losing control over anything while using this plugin. Anyhow, these R and S buttons can be pressed to set the sliders to 0 or 100% influence. Creating animations using these poses is remarkably convenient as well. Just move your playhead and the keyframes are automatically put in place. This K symbol will add or remove keyframes from the set items, and these arrows will move the playhead to the previous or next keyframe of that set. Something you might want to do is make a pose relative to the keyframes currently in place. For example, if I move these fingers into a unique position, we can press the snapshot button so that the pose sliders will take this current keyframing into account when applying the poses. Know also that you can automatically select all the items involved in this set by clicking this button down here. When finished creating poses, be certain to hit Save All, as your pose sets are not automatically loaded into any given scene by default. That generally covers how Pose Clip works, but there are some advanced options that you need to know about. First off, after creating a pose set, you might want to add or remove things afterwards, or you might want to combine bones, nulls, or other object types into a single set. To demonstrate this idea, I'll first create a set specifically for this character's head. Now, as you know, you can't select nulls and bones at the same time, so if we want to get this face rig involved, the desired nulls can be selected, and then the Item Add button can be pressed. Remember that doing this takes into account these other 4 buttons here. Because the face rig nulls are controlled by position, I'll only select translation. This button labeled Mirror happens to open up a list of items that are currently being affected by the selected set, in which you can select and remove item channels from the set explicitly. The pose can be mirrored to the other side of the character, assuming the rig has standardized left-right naming conventions in place. Hitting the Run button will copy or transpose the item channels found in this list using all of the settings defined up here. As a final note, you will notice that if you reload your scene after saving it, your pose lists will not be in place. The plugin will just present you with a blank screen again. In order to make pose sets automatically load when the scene is opened, you'll need to visit Master Plugins, found in the Utilities tab, and double-click on the pose clip entry. By selecting File List, this brings up the file list window. Any files added to this list will make the scene automatically load in pose sets for you upon being opened.